health is not just about, it's not necessarily just about our own body and our physical body. Health is also our healthy mind. So we kind of work down. We work from the life purpose and to what's important to us to what's in our head, and now we're going into our environment, our behaviors, like physically, like day to day, and what do we do to shape ourselves and protect our self-confidence, because a physical body that's healthy help us to shape and protect that self-confidence, and a healthy mind will also protect that self-confidence, because that's what we need in order to live to our passion. It's not just a matter of working really hard and being drained and working, 24 hours a day. We need to be healthy in order to enjoy what we're doing. And in order to be able to go over challenges that might be in the way, we need to have our health.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking of self-confidence, this is the question I hear from everybody who I've worked with. Says some days I feel like I can conquer the world, but most days my confidence isn't high enough to take that step that I need to take. So, what are some words around self-confidence being shaped by the external factors that come into our lives versus, sometimes we just own ourselves? How does that go back and forth where we rely on the outside environment and some days we can just rely on how we are?
That's right. So we did learn, and we will learn a lot more in depth at the live event on Saturday the 20th, how to work with our mind and how to actually talk to yourself, and how do you rephrase these limiting beliefs in your head. And sometimes we feel, and because I'm an advocate of the mind and I've studied neuroscience, that's where I put my focus on. And sometimes we do the reverse. We put only our time on our environment and our behaviors. So we try to do the right thing, and then we try to eat well, sleep well, do everything perfectly for our health, and we forget to change our mindset. So we need both. We need the heart, and then we do need the health as well. Because if most people tell me, oh my gosh, some days like I feel like I can conquer the world, I'm good, I've got this, I just went to that webinar with Scott and Natalie, I've taken so many notes, and now I'm gonna, conquer the world. And then you put these notes on the shelf, and then they become shelf help, because you lack that discipline that will bring you into the next step. And some people, some days is the reverse. They feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy of this. It's never going to happen anyway. I'm always going to live paycheck to paycheck, whatever. I can't live from my passion. And then they get deflated. And sometimes it's not a lack of self-confidence. It's just a lack of sleep. They're sleep deprived.
Yeah,
Or you didn't eat well enough. You feel like you're exhausted and you're tired, and then you start looking at your day and you didn't have 3 meals that day, or you skipped a meal the day before, and that will totally screw up your whole day, and it will screw up your mental as well. So we need to address that.
So one of the things that, and we will talk about these a lot more at the event, but I think in the morning that how you get out of bed has a lot to do with the self-confidence you bring forward in that day and what it is you feed your mind with as soon as you get out of bed. I mean, if you're grabbing for the cell phone, if you're looking at negative news and all these things, that your clean mind, that your sleep blessed mind is waiting for, then that can really, it's sort of like a momentum killer, if you will. All it can take is a couple little small steps in the morning of good things, and that can help propel you to a really cool day. So we have a lot to share on self-confidence, but that's certainly something that, as Natalie's saying, that there's a lot of factors that contribute to how you are feeling day in and day out. So let's get on to some of those things that we're taking a look at. Now, Natalie, you've got me beat on this one: lifestyle, regular exercise, and clean eating. Don't tell Natalie this, but I have a robotics engineer coming over to her house on the weekend because I have a suspicion, because she works out so much and so hard, that she is a robot. I'm not sure how she does that. What are some of your secrets to, getting, you eat clean, you eat regularly? By the way, for most of you who don't do all this, you're more like me. You've got a partner in me. I'm sort of half and half, but Natalie is certainly at the top of the heap in terms of regular exercise and clean eating. How did you incorporate that into your life?
I think that there's one thing that I need to say first is how I used to drive to work. I had 50 staff, and I used to drive to work with 3 dozens of donuts on my passenger seat, and I would eat 3 of them for breakfast on my way because I was bringing those for the staff, right? But I would eat 3 of them for breakfast, like 3 times a week. So no, I have not always been there. I've been in your shoes as well, and that's totally fine. I just find that as you start to discover that food can taste good, and when you start changing the limiting belief that healthy food is boring, or that if you lose weight, you're going to gain it back, or you will always gain weight at Christmas, or when you start changing this limiting belief that you need to feel full after a meal, because very often you don't. After the first bite, you're not hungry anymore. Our ancestors needed that big stomach that we were born with because they had to hunt for 3 days before their next meal. But we don't. We have this limiting belief that after a meal, we need to feel full. My husband stopped to eat bread, and because he said, you know, I need to cut bread, I need to lose a bit of weight. And so he said, can you help me find something else, another type of bread that I can have instead? Because just a bowl of oatmeal in the morning is not enough for me. And then I said, okay, I could help you do that. Or I can help you change the limiting belief that you need to feel full after your breakfast. You don't. As soon as you've eaten a few bites, usually most of us can cut our portions in half.
Yeah. And part of the interesting thing about that, Natalie, is that it's eating is such a social thing too, you know, and especially in a lot of cultures around the world, but even in Canada, you know, if you find somebody, it can be your mate, it could be your friends, and you are out eating, you have to have that that extra sense of self to say no to the dessert that just happens to be, you know, the chocolate cake that seems to come around, or in your case, ice cream. You know, so to be able to pass on that. And I think for me, and Natalie, again, she's part robot. She can do this. Okay. For those who aren't so
programmed, and it's possible.
I'm kidding you. We're aspiring to be like you. Once you've actually, you know, I don't work out with the same guys that I used to, because I find out I never really got a workout. And I loved when I, you know, went to the gym or went for a walk or whatever it is, and I really felt like I took a progressive step. So I stepped outside of that social, it was just a social event, whether it be exercise or eating. And when we go out, you know, and I'll have, you know, I was out for lunch yesterday with a couple of professional football players, and they're having all this food, and I had my salad without chicken. And, you know, it's sort of like, you know, that's what I want for me, because I know I feel better every time, you know, that I say no to that, and I see a little bit of weight loss. I feel stronger. I don't feel as slodgy afterwards. So, you know, there certainly is the brain piece to it as well. And I think the brain piece also has to overcome the desire to be accepted socially, that you're doing the same thing as everybody else.
The cure is two things. It cannot be temporary. So diets don't work, or every diet works while you do them. But if you want a lifestyle, and if you want real permanent transformation, you want to see it as this is your life now, and this is what you crave. And how you do that, you stop going away from things. You stop running away from, I cannot have burger, away from having the fries, away from the dessert, and you start going towards, I'm looking forward to eat this salad. I'm going towards this healthy mango or these veggie sticks that I love, and you start craving it. And it takes 66 days before you get used to something. So don't you go starting a new lifestyle and think that 2 weeks later, if it's not a habit yet, you give up. You have to do it for 66 days. So the cure is do one thing, chunk it down. And you can go on my website on thinkyourself.com. I have all these different wheels, the balance wheel, they're all free. You can download. And one of them is a weight loss wheel, and it's 8 different things. One of them is beverages. You will just focus on drinking enough water. That's it. Once this is a habit, then you start having veggie sticks every day. And then you continue to eat your burgers and your fries, but you have veggie sticks every day. This becomes a habit. And then later on, you will have burgers and no fries, but you still have the burger. And then you eliminate the fries gradually, gradually. And then when this is a habit, then you have no bun with your burger and you still have your patty with a salad, and it's gradual. So you have to make little changes one at a time. I've
The other
worked with
one I was going to suggest too, sorry, just mindful of the time that you've got with us today, is when it comes to, a lot of the folks who are doing passion pivots are in that 40, 50, 60 range, and their body is, it may have had its peak day, from a chronological perspective. And I hear a lot of excuses about, say for exercise, I haven't been to the gym, I can't run anything, and they remember their best performance as an athlete, 20 or 30 years ago, and they're going, why even bother? And that's one of the defeatist pieces that I think Natalie's really talking about, is that it's just not winning the game anymore, guys and gals. It's getting in the game. I'm playing hockey this Sunday for the first time in 10 years. I've got arthritis in my knees. I have excuses right down my arm as to why I shouldn't do this. But my brain is telling me to do it, and just to take it as a 56-year-old and to enjoy that and get back in the game. And when it comes to exercise for all of us there, whether you're already running 5K or you're running 1K or you're walking up and down the stairs, it's just getting in there. And as Natalie said, going from burger to no bun, those little steps, the same thing too, I think, can be said for exercise. Stress management. Natalie and I have no problem with this one at all, to slow down and just breathe, because by the way, get this one, guys, just before the event on October 20th, which is in the afternoon, we have an event in the morning. And so we're cutting that short so we can do this afternoon. And then Natalie, you're on a plane later that night to Calgary, if I'm not mistaken.
Calgary. Yeah, I'm speaking at the women's show.
So there's a difference between being busy and having stress and busy. So Natalie, you get the first crack at this one.
So stress and busy. Busy is the new black, right? People say, how are you doing? Oh, busy. How are you doing?
Busy. That.
Busy. So busy. Everybody's busy. Busy the new black. Like, if nobody says, oh, I'm fine, thank you, everybody says busy. And somehow it's ridiculous, the thing that stresses us out. Like 40% of the things that we worry about all the time are never going to happen. 30% of what we worry about is already gone. It's over. 12% of what we worry about is miscellaneous things like, oh my gosh, is it going to rain today? Do I need to bring my umbrella or not? 10% of what we worry about is miscellaneous health stuff. So you have a headache. It's just a headache, but we stress over it, and then you think, oh, maybe I should Google that. And then you Google it, and all of a sudden you have 3 months to live, because, on internet, like, and then you start worrying even more. So only 8% of your stress is legit. 92% of what you worry about is nonsense. So let's slow down our stress and get rid of those, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, and you relive something over and over, something that did not happen or something that happened, and your brain doesn't know it's not happening again. So we're making up stories all the time in our head, and we're stressing ourselves. So we need to take a deep breath and realize, is this part of the 92%? Yeah, probably. Okay, maybe I'll just let that one go. And 92% of your life, you have so much room now to incorporate things that are helping you, that are serving you. And it's a transformation. When you start looking at the things that are stressing you out, it's usually nonsense.
It is. And we had that event just today. We were supposed to be broadcasting this to you live, and thanks to the good folks at TELUS, not a sponsor of Passion Pivots, I can tell you, the internet went down for half an hour period here. And so, there we are coming on. We've got these dozens and dozens of people to come on and see us live, and I can't even get either one of the computers onto the internet. And, so my initial response, as yours might be, is, oh my gosh, this is a business thing. My gosh, what's going to happen? And I'm going, you know what? Can't do an awful lot about it. It's not the first time it's happened, but can't do a lot about it. And the fallout is that after, the next hour or so, nobody's even going to remember it. So I think sometimes reducing stress is taking a look at what you think is causing you stress, put it into the long-term view, and is anybody going to remember it 5, 10 minutes from now, an hour from now? And generally speaking, the answer is no. And when you know it's no, then the slowdown happens and you feel like you're in control again. And it is a beautiful thing. You are on that beach in Hawaii, even though you've just left what was potentially a stressful situation. So breathing is a cool thing. Hey, is it true, Natalie, most of us shallow breathe?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We need to start breathing. And it takes only a couple breaths just to sit back, take a huge deep breath through your stomach.
Nice. Okay, let's slow down and continue on to something even slower. Sleep. Can I have the first crack at this one?
Yes.
I have not had a full night's sleep for over 30 years, guys. And an uninterrupted night's sleep. I have a physiological condition which makes it really challenging, but it's not a limiting belief because I have adjusted my lifestyle so that I get up every day and I am rested. Sleep is the engine that drives everything that you do. And, in terms of personal habits, I love folks who say, you know what, at 10 o'clock, whatever the time is, I am in bed. It doesn't matter that you've been binge watching Netflix or you just had to do a few more things. You own. For me, that's the one time a day, Natalie, that I own, that at a certain time I am in bed. And that's it, because that sets up my whole next day. And if I compromise on that, I certainly don't, I'm not the best the next day. I do not watch computers in bed. I don't have the screen glare to mess with my melatonin. I like to read. It's a deeper thinking process for your mind so that your mind can actually start to relax, and it's much easier to go to sleep. And I don't have my phone beside my bed so that I don't get little vibrations and ping, ping, all those little electronic things. They need to go away. By the way, and for me too, no caffeine after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that messes with my sleep. So all kinds of sleep things. But it is the engine that drives everything else. You take people's sleep away, everything else falls to boot. Even Navy SEALs who've done 36-hour missions, staying awake, rock stars, guess who's crashing for the next 72 hours afterwards, trying to catch that back. So, Natalie, please add more to the sleep thing, but I am so passionate about it because it's been a challenge of mine for 30 years.
And we can talk about that. I'll help you with this. That's the very first thing that I address with all my clients. Honestly, the first thing I always ask is, how's your sleep? And most people, after one session, they're like, oh my gosh, the transformation you had in my life after one session, you're awesome. I said, no, I just taught you how to sleep. And then their life is completely transformed just because they had a good night's sleep. Yep. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to trust you have a personal assistant in your head that can do all your thinking while you are comfortably sleeping deeply. So when you go to sleep, ask yourself and ask your personal assistant, say, okay, this thing right now that I'm thinking about, yeah. I would like for you to go take all this thinking at the back. So then you take all this chatter and you visualize it go up, go behind, and go all the way back, just behind your brain right here. And you visualize the chatter go all the way back there so that your brain is completely empty. And then you're going to ask your personal assistant, can you do that thinking for me? You've got 8 hours while I sleep. And tomorrow morning, you give me the answer, or you prepare that article that I have to write, or you prepare that workshop that I need to work on, or you find an answer for this thing, or you find my driver's license that I lost, or whatever it is that worries you. You give that task to your personal assistant while you comfortably sleep. That's first step. You will also write down a paragraph saying, my name is Scott Armstrong, and I am a deep sleeper. You start by putting it in the past. I used to not be able to sleep uninterrupted, and now I'm willing to learn how it feels to have a full night of sleep. And I'm willing to become that person that can sleep like a rock through anything. And I'm willing to learn how to actually have a rejuvenating night of sleep and how it feels to be amazing. And I wake up now in the morning and I'm so feeling great and amazing and rejuvenated and fresh. And I'm amazed at how I was able to do this. And I'm so excited that I discovered the key to sleeping. So you write that all down and play the recording again, write that down, read this at least 10 times before you go to bed. When you get up in the morning as well, you read it again. So you brainwash yourself for 66 days with that script. And for most people, it works on the first night. So please.
I will give it a shot. I will give it a shot. Believe me, after 30 years, I'm pretty open to getting a good night's sleep.
You're very open, exactly. Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, just being mindful of our listeners' time here and stuff. We were going to be talking a bit about mindset on the at the event as well. Any sort of particular things that you would like to? I know we covered a lot about this in the self-sabotage piece, but anything that you want to add on?
Yeah, I think the main thing about mindset we wanted to mention here was how the mind is connected and how we do work on our mindset for our health is with personal development. So how to protect that self-confidence that we talked about at the beginning was with lifestyle, with sleeping, with relaxing and getting rid of stress, and with our mindset. And how do we make sure that we continue to program our mindset is to continue to feed it, because we talked about feeding our body. We can feed our mind as well. So if you go forward to the next one, that's what we're talking about, is protecting and feeding your mindset with personal development and professional development. So it's not just about getting courses for your job and for your business. It's also about, what about you, yourself, and what are you doing for your ongoing personal development to continue to feed yourself every day. Listen to podcasts and be on our webinar, come to our event. Yes. Continue to continuously feed yourself.
Two of the best things I've heard of for folks, as we get upwards in the years, is one is the new language, and the other one is learning an instrument, and just to help create some new neural pathways in your brain, those types of things. So even if the brain is like a muscle, even if it sounds hard, like if you pick up a guitar and you're trying to do a G chord and your fingers aren't working and you feel like a kid again because you're totally incompetent, this is good, because this means your brain actually has to work. It's not going on rote memory. They do say that how you treat yourself in your 40s and 50s will be very indicative of how you are in your 70s and 80s. So treat yourself strong and learn a new language and be able to speak it for another 30 or 40 years. Personal development, an important piece. So last one we're going to have time for today is posture. I'm glad to say, Natalie, that's not me. But I have never really thought of posture as a way of physical health. What are you thinking of here?
So this is the work of Amy Cuddy, actually. Well, I did create that cartoon because what Amy Cuddy proved is that we know that our mind impacts our body. So when we don't feel good, we tend to arch. When we're exhausted and we're tired, we tend to just like be completely curled up on our couch and feeling deflated. And when we feel great, when our mind feels great, it impacts our body. We're like, yeah! And now we opened up ourselves and we power pose. So what Amy, and this is not new, everybody knew that. What she did is she proved the reverse. Not only the mind can affect the body, she proved that the body could affect the mind. So if you're not feeling good, just the fact of standing tall, placing your hand on your waist and then rolling your shoulders back, if you power pose for at least a minute, that will influence your mind and you cannot feel miserable in this position. Yeah. So there's 3 that I use. There's this one, there's the victory, and there's the superwoman. Yes. So honestly, it sounds very, really? Well, I do that when I'm nervous, when I'm stressed, just before doing a power a keynote or talk, I'm behind the stage and my palm starts to sweat, I go, and then do your victory, do your Wonder Woman, and then you honestly start feeling better just by
I
changing your
remember Anthony Robbins doing it with
mind.
Anthony Robbins, where he would have you do that, and then he'd have you smile and look in the ceiling, and he would challenge you to bring a negative thought into your head. And everyone's going, I can't. I had a million of them a minute ago, but now that I'm doing this and
Yeah,
smiling and using all those muscles, you can't do it.
yeah.
So, a
It's,
believer here for
it's a
sure.
very, very easy thing to do.
Yes. So listen, attitude, we're just going to have to save that for October 20th, to have that positive attitude. So you're going to keep going and you're going to join us. We've got some great people and talent coming to the room on October the 20th. And so, Natalie, they're going to get this recording so they can have these steps here. Tell us, in your words, why, if someone comes up to you and says, why should I be going to this event?
If you have anything
You and I
on
don't do things we don't believe in. Sorry?
if you have anything on the back burner, if there's any dream of yours, and or sometimes you just look at your life and you're like, is that it? Is that
Yeah.
is that all I get? Or sometimes you're happy, but you feel like there's something missing, and you're like, you know what? I wish I had written a book, or I wish I had done this, or I don't like my job, and now I'm in my 50s. I'm not going to change job now. I'm just going to suck it up, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing, because your dream, your passion, that thing that you want to do, it's not going anywhere. It's your life purpose. That's what you were born for. It's not going to go away. You have to start addressing it. And this is what we're doing for you. We're giving you a plan, a specific 4 hour on working on your passion pivot, on your unlocking your passion. And we're not just unlocking your passion, it's giving you the life you've always wanted to have. It's your life.
So
Gosh.
what we're going to be creating runways for you while you're there. Everybody who attends, you get your own workbook, and we are going through all the three key areas in terms of the head, the heart, and the health, and making sure that we have action steps that are not just generic ones that we say to thousands of people, but these are the specific ones for you, so that you can start taking it. And there's a built-in accountability partner too that comes with it. Well, so this is not a sit back. You could sit back and just take it all in. We're hoping that you're going to come because you really are feeling like now is your time. We've got an early bird rate until, I guess, 2 days from now of $99. I did see the number of seats that were available today, and they are few and far between. I think we're down to a table or less. So if you are interested in this and you're seeing this, please order quickly. Of course, you're going to get Natalie's ebook, Think Yourself Successful. A great read. It's how I met Natalie, 9 or 10 months ago, which is really cool. We've got to bring a guest for free. So again, with one table going, that means we've got half a table left to go. And you can register now at.
You mean that instead of $99, it's $49.50? This is a good